Did you know that there is a community of black women from the US who are living and thriving in Ecuador? Like, why are they there? And what are they getting? What is the benefit of these retirement age or close to it black women leaving the US and living in Ecuador? And like, what is the deal with Ecuador? That's what we're going to talk about today. I spent 1 week almost in Ecuador hanging out, chilling with black women from the US who have moved there. And here's what I learned. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School and the co-creator of Exodus Summit. And I help black women take a career break or sabbatical, bop around the world as a nomad, move abroad, all while embracing ease. If any of these things sound good to you, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel now. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'll wait. Thank you. And then turn on notifications, ring that notification bell, and you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live. Welcome. Okay, so let's talk about 3 things that I learned from black women retirees who have moved to Ecuador based on my experience of hanging out with them and letting them show me the ropes, show me the place. So why was I in Ecuador? They invited me. I am the co-creator of Exodus Summit, as I said, which is a community of more than 18,000 black women who have moved abroad or who have planned or are planning on moving abroad or want to take some time and travel full time. And those women are all over the world. And sometimes they send out a little flare, a little invitation, and they invited me to come and hang out with them. That was Labor Day weekend. So I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So almost a week. Just this Labor Day, 2024. I'm already spending most of my time, or half of the year anyway, in San Jose, Costa Rica. So it wasn't nothing for me to get on a plane and fly down and hang out with the Exodus Summit community and their friends in Manta, Ecuador. Manta, Ecuador is a beach town, coastal city, right, in Ecuador. Ecuador has some other places, some other cities and towns that are popular with retirees from the US and Canada. If you've been in the retirement, if you've been listening to and watching like Retire Abroad videos, you've probably heard of Cuenca, Ecuador. I'd heard of Cuenca, but I'd never heard of Manta. Beach town, coastal place where you can get a condo with a beach view, but let me get to that in just a minute, okay? But that's where I was. I was there Labor Day 2024. But I've spent a lot of time in Costa Rica, and before that, I've spent a lot of time in Mexico, in small towns and big cities, or like the big city in Mexico. So I'm coming to this as a person who has had some experiences in Latin America and knows how to navigate things a little bit. But I found that Cuenca is pretty beginner friendly. Uber was inexpensive, food was inexpensive, so Manta is, I think, a decent choice for someone, even if they don't have experience traveling around or living in Latin America already. Okay, so I think that's enough back information. Let's talk about it. 3 things I learned. Number 1, black women who have moved to Ecuador are living in luxury. Sometimes we think about moving abroad to a lower cost of living place as a way to seriously cut our expenses. And I think most of them probably have decently cut their expenses, but more important for them, because they're close to retirement age or a little past US retirement age, more important to them is to be able to live in luxury, not have to live with lack, right? They don't want to cut their expenses and have fewer luxuries or fewer, good stuff in their lives. They're paying $25 or $30 to have a housekeeper come clean the house and cook the meals for the day, right? They're paying $20 to go whale watching, right? They're paying $40 to go to one of the top-rated spas in the world. This is in Cuenca. There's one of the world's top-rated spas is in Cuenca, and a couple of days a week, it's 2 people for $40 to hang out at this spa and get some spa services, right? So it was nice to see the black women who have moved to Manta are not there to live on pennies as if they're living on pennies, right? They're there because they want to live a full life. They want to experience life's luxuries. They want a hairdresser. They want somebody to do their nails. They want the eyebrows done, right? They want those services done usually in home, right? They want the massage therapist to come. So they're experiencing life's luxuries. I think a lot of times black women in particular take some getting used to, right? Getting used to having those luxuries, getting used to having a housekeeper come and cook and do the grocery shopping and cook the food and wash the dishes, right? It can take time for Black women to lean into that or adjust to that. But it was really, really beautiful to see them enjoying it, right? Using it to their advantage. Not in a predatory way, right? But in a, I'm going to make my life better and I'm contributing to the economy. So Black women, number one, in Manta, Ecuador, and in Ecuador, period, are living in luxury. Number two, they're living in luxury on less. Right? So they also wanted to talk about how much they're spending or how much less they're spending on rent. Here's what I hear, okay? Here's what I hear. A 2 or 3 bedroom condo in Manta, Ecuador on the water with a beautiful ocean view, right? A wall of windows where they can see whales from their balconies, right? Whale watching is a real thing in Manta. They're spending, I don't know, $1,100 to $1,600 a month for that. I don't think there's any place in the U.S. where you can get an oceanfront condo with that kind of view for 2 or 3 bedrooms for $1,100 to $1,600. I don't think. If there is, let us know. But they're living on less. We went out to eat several times. We went out to, they went out to eat a lot. Okay, this meetup, this Exodus Summit meetup was 5 days long, okay? Your girl is not a leave the house every day type of person. So I went with them several times. We went to one barbecue place where the meals were between $5 and $11 for a meal. And listen, when that lady brought that food out, I was like, you should have told us how much food she was going to bring. We could have shared a meal, right? I think that was my $8 meal. The plate was huge. And then the side, one of the sides was rice and beans. And it was a full plate of rice and beans, not a little bowl. Right? That was my $8 meal plus lemonade. I think $8.50 was my total price for the meal. Right? Now, Saturday night, we went to a more expensive restaurant. I think my sea bass meal, we went to the restaurant inside the hotel I was staying in, and I think my sea bass meal was $24 or something like that. And speaking of hotels, I stayed in a hotel and got myself a suite because the suite in that hotel was priced less than a regular room in the Marriott where I just stayed when I was stuck in San Francisco and Oakland, right? A suite in Ecuador was way less money than the regular rooms in Oakland and San Francisco. So, but this suite wasn't a Marriott. It was a locally, like an Ecuadorian hotel, but an Ecuadorian chain hotel. So they're living on less money. And again, I want to remind you that living on less money doesn't mean you have to live with less luxury or with less of the things that you enjoy. It doesn't mean you have to live with less pleasure and enjoyment in your life. So women in Ecuador are living in luxury on less and in community. The third thing I learned by visiting the Black women from Exodus Summit and their friends in Manta, Ecuador, is that those women are in community. In community in a way that you just don't see in the United States. Part of this is because Ecuador is just a country of people. When you are in Latin America, you can see that this is not a place where people have been fed the lie of the rugged individualist, where they've been told that there is honor and glory in doing it on your own and being an isolated person who is not in community with other people. When you're in Latin America, you can see firsthand, oh, these people really value being in community with one another. It's part of the reason that the housekeeper and the massage therapist and this person and that person are incorporated into the community. It's things that they use as well. The housekeeper is not just a thing that outsiders who move to Ecuador pay for, right? It's a thing inside of Ecuador. The housekeeper, the person who does your laundry, the person who does this and that, right? They operate in community with one another in Latin America in a way that we're not allowed to in the United States without getting a whole lot of pushback, a whole lot of side eye, a whole lot of who do you think you are? Or a whole lot of, there's actually glory in struggle, right? You should be struggling and doing things on your own. There's glory in that. Okay? When you go to other places, you see how much of a lie that is. And being in community in Ecuador means operating in a way that Ecuadorians also operate. So it was wonderful to see the women who have moved to Ecuador adopting those practices for themselves, and to see how much they spend time together, how much they have bonded and gotten to know one another. When you move to a new country, yes, you want to incorporate yourself in the community there, but it's also really nice. It's amazing, actually, to be in community with Black women and to have friends right there in your town. They go to language classes together. They have a Spanish tutor, and they share the same Spanish. I think he does classes together, like group classes with them. They go to Spanish class together. They walk together. They go to water aerobics together. They go whale watching together in community with one another. They know each other's families. Some of the women have husbands or spouses or partners. Some don't. Or some have children who come to visit. They know each other's families and friends, and they're in community. They're not there to be rugged individualists. They're not there to do everything on their own and be lonely and isolated. They are there to be together and to love on one another. When I was there happened to be a couple of women visiting Manta who got there weeks ago, but were there for weeks, right? And I got to see what that looks like. The women who live in Manta had gotten in community with the women who were visiting Manta just for a few weeks, and in community with me and a few of the women who came down for the meetup who were just in Manta for a few days. There is really a whole different approach to community, to sisterhood, to friendship when you're abroad. If you're a person who has struggled to maintain relationships with people abroad in the U.S. because everybody's so busy, or because it's hard to find like-minded people, you may find it's a whole lot easier once you move abroad. Now, I don't mean you've struggled to maintain your relationships because you're a bad person, okay? If you're mean, right, or you're not trustworthy, that's going to follow you wherever you go. But if the problem with maintaining relationships is just that, girl, I haven't talked to her in weeks or months, right? I haven't had time. She hasn't had time. Or I can't find people who are into the things that I'm into. When you go abroad and you participate in the things that you want to do, you will find like-minded people. And you'll find like-minded Black women. You can be in community with Black women, even if you don't live in the U.S. anymore, or UK or Canada or wherever y'all came from, right? You can be in community, and I've seen it country after country after country, city after city after city. Yes, I was in Manta, Ecuador for Labor Day weekend, but this is not the first time that I've popped in on some Black women, someplace who have moved abroad, and seen them be so loving and kind and caring and in community with one another. I've seen it in Lisbon, Portugal. I've seen it in Mexico City, Mexico. I shouldn't start naming places because every place I've been where I've been in community with Black women, I've seen that same thing. I've seen it in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and Da Nang. I've seen it and continue to see it in a way that is just harder to maintain in the U.S. It's easier to do that. It's easier to be in community abroad because you have more time, you have less stress, and you have more people around you who are like-minded, who think about things the way that you do. If you're willing to pick up your life and move to another place to live better, you're going to find other people who are willing to pick up and move to another place to live better, people who are interested in living better and being better and leaving behind some of the BS that we have to live with in the U.S. instead of regurgitating it over and over and over again. If you're so sick of sitting with women and the only thing y'all can talk about is work, or the only thing y'all can talk about is Trump, right? You can pick up and go to a place where you can meet women who have some things going on in their lives, some fun, some interesting things, some conversation. You can be in community with Black women who actually can carry on a conversation that you want to be engaged in. When you're abroad, I know we think about moving abroad as in leaving our community behind, but you can form new community in a new place. Okay? So speaking of forming new community in a new place, I've said several times that the women that I hung out with were women from the Exodus Summit community and their friends, right? What is the Exodus Summit community? I'm so glad you asked me that because this is perfect timing to find out what Exodus Summit is. Exodus Summit is an annual conference online right? An annual virtual event for Black women and their families who are interested in moving abroad. Exodus Summit is happening real soon, okay? I'm so glad you're here. Exodus Summit 2024 is happening October 11th through 14th. It's all online, and tickets are available now at exodussummit.com. So what are we covering in this year's conference? We're talking about the fast track to moving abroad. If you want to make a quick exit out of your country, then you need to be at Exodus Summit 2024, whether you're a solo person, a Black woman with a family, a Black woman with pets, right? A Black woman with children, a spouse, a parent or parents. You should be in Exodus Summit 2024 because we can help you get a plan together and expedite that plan. We're bringing in speakers who are experts and speakers who are expats to work you through some of the things that you think might be roadblocks or stop signs in your move abroad planning process. If you want to move abroad but you don't know how you're going to afford it, how much is it going to cost? If you want to move abroad but you don't know what you're going to do about schooling your kids or taking care of maybe an elderly parent, right? If you want to move abroad but you don't know what you're going to do with your stuff. If you want to move abroad but you don't want to do it alone, how are you going to find community? Then you should be at Exodus Summit 2024. This is our 5th year of hosting Exodus Summit. So that means this is our 5th year of Black women and their families showing up, learning from us and from our speakers, and then executing. The women who I met who live in Manta, Ecuador, most of them are in Ecuador because they came to Exodus Summit and learned how to move abroad and picked a place that they thought would be good for them and got themselves there based on what we and our speakers taught them. Exodus Summit helps you execute, okay? I talked just a second ago about some of the conversation that's happening in the US that you may want to excuse yourself from, that you may want to opt out of, right? Maybe you're so sick and tired of work supposedly being the center of your life, right? Maybe you want to get you a remote job and move to a country where you can just live and be a whole person and not just a worker, right? Maybe you really do feel like the way your life is set up today, all you're going to do is work and pay bills and die. And you would like to make some changes. You would like to get behind the driver's seat of your life and make some changes, okay? You should be at Exodus Summit 2024. Maybe you're a person who thinks that the outcome of the next election in the US, the next presidential election, is not going to be good, right? No matter who wins, because somebody's going to be mad, somebody's going to act up, right? And maybe you don't want to be there to be involved, targeted, okay? Then you should be at Exodus Summit 2024. Okay, we're going to work on expediting your exit. There are women who come to Exodus Summit every year who are interested, but don't really think it's possible for them. And by the end of Exodus Summit, they have a plan. And some of those women are abroad right now. I'm going to link to some videos in the Exodus Summit YouTube channel and my channel so that you can see for yourself what a transformation Exodus Summit has been making and will continue to make in the lives of Black women and their families. You're invited. You're welcome. I hope we'll see you at Exodus Summit. It's coming very soon, so get your ticket, okay? Price goes up, okay? When you go to exodussummit.com, you'll see price goes up. Go ahead and get your ticket today, okay? I don't know that Ecuador is the right place for most people. If you're probably under 55 and single and want a little active cultural experience, right? Maybe Manta, Ecuador is not for you, but maybe it is. Maybe Ecuador, but not Manta is the right answer. Maybe someplace else. I'm in San Jose, Costa Rica right now. I have another tool that I'm going to point you to right now. I'm so glad you're still here in this video. If you're still here, let me know in the comments. Type still here in the comments so I know you stuck around to this point, all right? If you're still here, let me point you to a quiz that we, Exodus Summit, have put together so that you, friend, can get a starting place, a place to start researching cities and countries to move to, okay? This quiz is called, What Country Should I Move To? It's pretty self-explanatory. Take the quiz at exodussummit.com/quiz. Of course, I've linked to that in the description of this video as well. Go to exodussummit.com/quiz. Take the quiz, find out a city that might work for you. Okay, it may not give you the exact place. Okay, please don't take the quiz and then just move to that place. Okay, you got to do your Googles, you got to do your research, you got to do a little scouting, you got to do a little community navigating, right? But take the quiz and let it give you a starting point, a place to start thinking about, and a place to maybe qualify and quantify, right? A place to be like, well, these things work for me. This city works for me for these reasons, but I don't think it works for me for these reasons. So let me find a place that answers these questions for me, right? Get that quiz at exodussummit.com/quiz. All right? I appreciate you so much for watching this video. Please hit the like button before you go and share it with a Black woman who would like to hear about my experience chilling in Manta, Ecuador. Thank you. And to the Manta Ecuador squad, thank you so much for the warm welcome and the beautiful hospitality. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego, amigas. Thanks for watching, friends. Bye.
Okay. Hi, everybody. All right. Thank you.